Hi, do you like my new t-shirt? Today has been an interesting day because I've spent most of it outside and most of it in a wheelchair, and most of it has actually been all right. Now, I have actually gradually adjusted to the 3-foot life view. It's not my favorite, but I'm getting used to it. I'm going to have to get used to it. Suck it up, buttercup. But the first instance of I became invisible at 3 foot happened to me today. I was at cycling, cats fighting, cycling Southland team launch event, and somebody at that event wanted me to move and spoke to my husband, who was standing behind me, right over the top of my head, saying, could you move your wife down to the blah blah blah? And yeah, it was like I was totally invisible. And that's the one thing that I really bloody hate. Now, I didn't say anything. I was being polite. It's a team launch event and all that sort of jazz. But it really pisses me off when people do that. However, here's what I've done today. So we started off with breakfast in my local cafe. Now, I've been there a lot of times. They know what's going on. A lot of the people that I have breakfast with know what's going on. Everything's perfectly normal, and I didn't feel out of place. Everybody's sitting, having breakfast. All I usually have to do is move a chair out of the way. But other than that, everything's fine. From there, what happened next? Oh, we went to Harvey Norman because I needed to buy another computer for work. Now, the salesman I always use in Harvey Norman hasn't seen me for a while. Excuse me. And when I went in, he said, "Oh my goodness, what happened?" And I said, "I sold it." "Oh, really? Did you get a good price?" "No, because I'm selling the other one next week." And it sort of lightened the mood. Plus the fact I had this t-shirt on, I've been wearing it all day. So yeah, everything was fine and nobody made a big deal of it. And I was in the shop for quite a wee while. Didn't really notice anybody staring, pointing, anything like that. Maybe I'm just becoming accustomed to it, I don't know. And everything went reasonably well. I felt fine. And then we went to the cafe next door for lunch. Now, don't know if I've ever really noticed this before, but its tables were really squashed in. Now, my husband said that this is perfectly normal, that they haven't changed anything, but it all felt really cramped, and there was only perhaps 2 or 3 of the tables that I could actually get a wheelchair at. All the rest of them were too close together. So that limits where you can sit, especially at the lunchtime rush. On some of the occasions in here, the people that were sitting either side of me were trying to see what my t-shirt said. But I think that was what was happening because my leg was under the table, so you couldn't tell what had happened to me exactly. But the floor in there, it's concrete, polished concrete. My goodness, wheelchair travels really well on polished concrete. He couldn't keep up with me. I was like, whee, down the shop, and it was great. I almost felt like I was going at the speed that I might do if I had 2 feet. It was, apart from the fact I'm 3 foot tall. So it was great. But some of their disabled spots out the front are really quite narrow, and it's tricky to get a wheelchair in the side, especially when, here's a bugbear of mine, disabled spots always have the extra space on the driver's side. The driver is not always the disabled person. So that means that unless you park on the chevrons, you are going to have trouble getting a wheelchair in on the other side, even if you're in a disabled spot. Because for a wheelchair to fit down the side of a car, you need to be able to open a car door wide to its full max. A lot of people don't appreciate that when they park beside you. So that's a little irritation. Sometimes I have to hop around the back, or sometimes we have to move the car within inches of the next one next door so that I can get the wheelchair down the side of the car. Not exactly ideal, but people don't think of these things. And 2 of the 5 disabled spots outside the shop were wider, but the other 3 were perfect, were this normal size. For a wheelchair user, that is no help to me at all. So please sort it out, Mitre 10 Invercargill. It's a bit irritating. Then it was the team launch. Now, I've never been to an event like this where I've been disabled before. Normally, I'm a pretty social person, will talk to anybody, but it's really difficult when you are, 1, in a room full of people you don't know, and 2 foot lower than all of the rest of them. So that's where you have to really work hard to be in part of a conversation that's happening up there, and people don't realise how much harder it is for somebody that's down there, that's not exactly involved in the conversation because the conversation's going on up here. As it turns out, because I was wearing this t-shirt, it got a lot of comments, and a lot of people didn't mind talking to me, but I did find it tricky to start with, and I sort of felt a little bit left out because I was the only person in a wheelchair and the rest of them were all standing up with wine and talking to each other and stuff like that. It worked out all right in the end, and actually there was a conversation I had with a lady, and it was hilarious because she came over and she said, oh, did I ask you just what happened? I said, oh yeah, I sold it. I'm going to sell the other one next week. Didn't quite get enough money for it. And she laughed. Anyway, we carried on with the conversation, and it ended up winding up to the point where she said, so are you going to get, and she couldn't think of the word, and she said, extension. And I said, well, the doctor did tell me it would grow back, but I'm still waiting. And I was able to get a whole heap of my one-liners into this conversation. It was hilarious. So the next thing that popped up, we were talking then about sport and the fact that I've been a member of Team GB. And then she said about returning to sport, and the Paralympics was mentioned. I said, I am wanting to be in the Paralympics. This was the only way I could get into the team by cutting a leg off. And they just kept on rolling. And she kept on walking into another opportunity for me to say another line. I was actually wondering if I could get right through them all before the end. I didn't get a chance to use my broomstick one, for example, but I did get about 4 or 5 of them into that conversation, and it was just, it was quite amusing. I quite enjoyed it, actually. And then, obviously, people were talking about the t-shirt. Somebody said that I should start a business, Mel's Merch. No, because I like these t-shirts to be unique. They're mine, and you can't have one the same. And that's just the end of that. So I do have another one, but I'm not going to wear it until leg day. And I've got a few more that I need to think about and plan. But yes, if you've got any suggestions for t-shirts and for one-liners, I'm starting to run out of one-liners, actually. I've used quite a lot. So do send me some if you've got some more suggestions for one-liners, because I'm always up for a laugh. The biggest pain in the ass is being sat down. Now, I really hope that we can use the iWalk soon, because if we can, then that means I might actually be able to try massaging someone, because I'll be able to stand up on the iWalk. But I'm not sure what's happening with that at the moment. Now, regards the leg, here's what's going on with the leg. So about 2 or 3 days ago, I noticed this. I have been having, since the beginning, since the amputation, I've never had pain per se, but I have had phantom pins and needles. So I would call it phantom sensation. So I've always felt like the foot is there when it's not. And it doesn't hurt. It's just like faint pins and needles. And then sometimes the exercises the physio gave me was aggravating that and making it worse. But about 3 days ago, it just stopped. And now I don't have any sensations at all. No pain, no phantom sensations, no nothing. So it just like 2 days ago, it's just like suddenly, that's it. It stopped. So I don't have any feeling that the foot used to be there. It just, I've never been able to like imagine I can wriggle my toes that aren't there. Some people say that. I've never had that, but I have had the sensation that the foot is still there with the, nervy pins and needles thing, but nope, it's just gone. It's not there. The foot is gone, the pain is gone, the pins and needles have gone, the whole thing is gone, and it's just not there on the end of my leg. So that, I guess, is when you can start forgetting that it's happened, because you've always had a foot for 40 whatever years of your life, and suddenly now you don't. So I'm going to have to really concentrate. I was just kneeling to reach something behind the sofa just now, and it almost went to put that leg down on the floor. And then it's the weight difference that reminds me when I lift my leg, it's 4.5 kilos lighter. So yes, it's really difficult to describe. You couldn't possibly understand what it's like, because unless somebody took 4 kilos off your leg, there's no way you could even understand what it's like. So that has been a bit strange in the last couple of days. But at the same time, I'm pleased that I don't have that dominating my mind, and that I can just get on with everything else. So now I feel like, right, okay, next step, let's go. What's next? I've got the leg appointment in 3 weeks, but I'm still waiting to find out if I can iWalk and crutch and all them sorts of things. And I'm feeling a little bit frustrated about those. That's a little bit annoying. positive thing that happened today. I was involved in a social conversation with people I didn't know at wheelchair level, and I've never had to do that before. Something I want you to try today: do the washing up standing on one leg. Or if you don't do washing up because you have a dishwasher, then try washing your face and cleaning your teeth standing on one leg. Now, when I first started doing this, washing up that is, standing on one leg, my leg that I was standing on, oh my God, it would really hurt. That glute, that hip flexor and everything. But now I can do it relatively easily without much pain at all for a good few minutes. So I'm guessing that's a good sign, and that the work I'm doing with the physio is working well. So that's exciting. So if you try it, let me know, because the one you need to be careful with is your left hip drop, and you need to be standing on your right leg, and you need to keep up straight, and your butt will burn, I tell you. So if you want good bum cheeks, then try that, standing on one leg. Have a great evening. See you tomorrow.